Okay. It's been a while, and this is a very different camera. I'm using my webcam that I use for streams and such because my camera actually is the battery's not charged. So this is kind of my plan B instead of recording it on my phone or waiting for the battery to charge up well enough for me to squeeze out like a good 10-minute ish video, which by the way, I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to leave it as raw and uncut as possible because I don't really feel like it's necessary for me to. And plus, at this rate, it's just kind of me throwing it out there. As you can kind of see, I just got off work and such. My hair is a little bit of a mess, but that's besides the point. But yeah, life through a lens here. I think the painstaking question or questions is what happened? Where have I been? Why do I keep leaving? It seems like I come back for a bit and then I just kind of walk away, right? And some people have seen I have spoken out about it on some platforms. I have stated that I kind of took a hiatus of sorts, and then for those that know me personally, that hiatus kind of turned into me just saying I give up. And I guess to kind of keep things real, as if I don't ever really keep it real on this channel, but to kind of keep things real, um, shit's been rough. It's been really rough lately, and I'm sure some of you guys may have noticed that I've been just purely doing gaming videos. I haven't really done much music. I haven't really done videos on this channel, and you know, I did like a little marathon of sorts with gaming videos on the gaming channel, and it didn't necessarily go as planned. I did most of the week, and then I missed out like maybe 2 days out of it, maybe 3 days that I had intended to record and stream to kind of recap how the marathon turned out because it was kind of my Hail Mary to drag more attention to the gaming channel, which in hindsight didn't really work out as I wanted it to. And that was only one factor as to why the marathon didn't go as planned. The other factor is that I've kind of noticed people close to me not necessarily presenting much support or at least like acknowledgement towards it. Like, I think other creators, I think other creators within this space, whether it be IRL content or doing music or doing gaming videos, I think they can kind of relate when it's just kind of like people close to you or people that seem to be friends more so treat your hobbies and interests and in some cases even profession as more of a factoid in conversation rather than like an actual like fact. It's more like a fun factoid of like, oh yeah, hey, this individual does music, or oh yeah, this individual's a YouTuber, or this individual does live streams, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you look at it from the angle of, okay, you're willing to mention it, but you're not willing to necessarily be there for it, it's like it kind of creates a little bit of a pain. And it's like, I get it. People are busy. People are busy. But it's the fact that not only have I done live streams, but I've also done videos. So at any point in time, that stuff can be viewed, but they don't seem to really care for it. Which, I mean, in a case like this, I try my best not to take it to heart. It's just what kind of sucks is that I would like to have someone close to me showing some level of support, you know? It's like I see how many people view my posts. I've seen, just it's just it kind of slowly takes a toll when those you deem like closest to you don't necessarily sit in that same corner as you. You know, it's like they're not necessarily in your corner, but they just treat it as like a hey, yeah, you know, it's a fun little fact. I don't watch your stuff, I don't listen to your stuff, I don't really give feedback or support, but I see you post about it. It's like if you see me post about it, why not at least like spend like a good few minutes viewing it, you know? Why not help me a little bit? Why not support my grind a little bit? Because at the end of the day, as much as I treat it like a hobby, at the same time, the reason why I've done gaming videos, the reason why I've done stuff for the IRL channel, the reason why I've done music is because it's the stuff I love to do, not the stuff that I think I can do. Right. And that's where it starts to take a toll, is when it's like, where's the realization that this is stuff that I love doing? This is stuff I'm passionate about. This is stuff that I'm constantly learning about more and more, and how to approach it and how to do it, right? How to present it, how to put it out there. This isn't just something where I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, it's kind of fun doing this. I guess I'll do it. It's like, I don't ever really look at it and say, I guess I'll do a, you know, narrative for the IRL channel. I guess I'll do a commentary segment for the channel where I just completely leave it unedited as like a podcast. I don't go, I guess, when it comes to doing music, you know, especially with music. But that's just one thing that's kind of driven me away from things. But that's kind of the lesser of the things that has kept me away. Another lesser factor, I guess, is burnout, you know. It's like you do oh so many things for oh so many channels. It's like people think it's easy doing vlogs, doing, you know, commentary, making these kind of like narratives and such, recording for gaming videos, doing music. Everyone thinks it's like such an easy process, and maybe in some instances, yeah, it is. But I think some people fail to realize that once you start doing multiple ventures simultaneously, it starts to take a toll, because one minute you're doing a vlog, the next you're doing a gaming video, the next you're doing a live stream for a good couple of hours, the next you're sitting down for a good music session, and then you have to question whether or not you're satisfied with it. It's just, it's so many different avenues that it can sometimes be draining, whether it be for one of the avenues, two of the avenues, all of the avenues, who knows, right? But at the end of the day, it can still be draining. That's just the lesser of things, right? Now on to the bigger stuff without getting too detailed, right? Without getting too explicit in details. I've been going through some personal stuff. You know, I've been going through things that have hurt me mentally, for say. Bear with me as I try to navigate this, because I really don't want to specify things, because I don't think I really owe you guys that much detail into my life. It's already kind of a stretch that I'm sharing my life at this rate, you know, especially like this part of it, something that's so personal. But it's like I always have the thought in the back of my mind that one way or another, the people involved are going to eventually see it. And, you know, it's like a part of me is like, oh, yeah, however they feel about it is however they feel about it. But the other part is like, oh, shit, what if I detail something that doesn't really come out the way I want it to? You know, and then it turns out it's like almost like a negative thing towards them. Like, by no means do I mean disrespect to some people, you know, but for a good handful of time, especially ever since I've released the last video, or uploaded the last video to this channel, where it was supposed to be an update and then I was supposed to trail on and do more. ever since, I've been dealing with friends walking out of my life, whether it be I get ghosted suddenly or, due to some circumstances they feel the need to cut me out of their life. And, this is just it's been like months and months of just people coming and going within my life, and some of the people that I've known for a while even stepping away for either unknown reasons or reasons that don't necessarily feel justified to me. And it's not necessarily due to anything I've done. I'm trying my best not to air out dirty laundry for some people, but it's like for some people they've left me in favor of something else, you know. And it hurts. It hurts when people you deem closest step away from you in favor of something or someone else that they think will be of better benefit, you know? Like I've had people, and this is like months ago, right? I've had people outright, stop talking to me, and then their final stance is just, oh, I found this person and they don't want me talking to you just simply because, you're of similar gender identity or whatever may have you. So I'm going to cut you off even though we've considered each other close friends. And, I've had cases where I've crashed out on some of those people where I'm like, I thought we were close, It's not my fault that your person is feeling insecure about your close friend. And that's more targeted towards someone that has cut me off a while back ago. So for anyone that's decided to part ways with me recently, that part's not about you. So just as a clarification, just so it doesn't seem like I'm too salty about what you may have done or what your reasoning is. Because I will say, in hindsight, even though hindsight isn't that far away from recent cases, I've grown in understanding, right? So for that, I forgive you. It still hurts, but I forgive you. And if you do by chance see it, just know that I do forgive you to the fullest. And I hope that eventually we can reconnect because it's kind of forced my hand in life. I mean, my hand has already felt forced as is, but for what's occurred recently, I only had two avenues, and that was either one, I dwell on it and I just proceed to struggle and allow myself to fall into absolute turmoil, or two, I learn to move on and to move forward. And dealing with the aftermath of it, that was the avenue I chose to move on because I recognize that it's going to hurt here and there, but I'd much rather power through that hurt and recognize that you're taking the path you're taking for the sake of your well-being than dwell on it and, you know, wish that things could have been different. Because yeah, I do wish things could have been different, but after putting myself in your shoes, I understand. Maybe not to the same exact degree as you, but I understand. So, if we speak again, we can go from there, but if we don't, I hope I hope that I hope that things turn out well for you and for everyone. But I'll address the recent stuff later on. That was just kind of like a tangent, but going back to like months back, yeah, it's like I've had a close friend that I've known for like I want to say like a year or so, maybe 2 years, maybe, where it's like I felt like I could trust them with everything. I felt like I was able to talk to them about anything and everything. I was there for them as much as they were for me. It kind of hurt when abruptly they were like, "Hey, yeah, I found this person," and because they feel insecure, I'm gonna cut you off. It's like you didn't feel like addressing that insecurity. You didn't feel like taking a stance and saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna cut off my close friends just because you feel insecure about that person." It's like you presented an understanding that you're not necessarily doing something good here, but yet you proceeded to cut me off anyway on something that doesn't seem promising. That's the part that gets me. That's the part I don't have a full understanding on. Is why cut me off if you feel like it's not going to be positive, if it's not going to be beneficial. But, it's like, well, if you think it's the easier decision than taking a stance and setting boundaries, then so be it. But my final regards to them was sayonara, because you chose a relationship over a friendship. So I don't know if that person's ever going to really see this. I'm not going to address names. I'm not going to even state the first letter of the name. But anyone that may be associated with them, if this does come across their radar, just let it fly past because this is probably the only time I'll speak on the matter. They know how I feel about it. They know how I felt, and they know that I don't really care to reconnect because of the option they chose. So, but I guess like past that, more recent stuff. I mean, I've spoken on this through my commentary segment known as Vocal Box, and it's no secret. I have a hard time with dating. I've had a hard time with dating. I've had kind of a hard time with friends, but I feel like I've had a harder time with dating than I have with friends, despite what's happened. So, to put it in layman's terms, I've been dealing with heartbreak. I don't think some of the people involved in that realm of things will see this because they've completely just either stepped away or cut me off for good. So if they do somehow magically see this, one, how, and two, I've moved on. I've moved on plenty. So it's like I eventually got fed up with either being led on or dealing with people that aren't necessarily certain with what they want to do. You know, it's like I've had one person not really go the full way or, present their intentions in full and just thought that I was going to eventually assume that they don't have feelings for me. It's like I shouldn't have to assume that just because you suddenly want to get dry or because you want to just gloss over it. Like, please just address it, address the matter at hand. If you don't have feelings for me, please address that. If you feel like it's not the path you want to take, please address that. But don't either A, give me radio silence or B, gloss over it or completely disregard or downplay what I tried to present. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to anyone because that's more harmful than saying, "Hey, I know we gave it a shot, but I don't think this is the avenue I want to take." Like it would be less harmful just addressing it, you know. And then as for the person that just decided to go radio silent and then eventually cut me off, with no explanation or anything, I'll try to say this in a not so aggressive way, but screw you, you know? Like you knew I had feelings and you just abruptly cut me off out of nowhere. Now, I mean, okay, sure, we could play devil's advocate and say, maybe they're just going through so much that they just didn't know how to address it. So in a panic, they just distanced, like just cutting it cold turkey. But the issue is that I'll never know and I'll never get closure to that. And I think that's where that pain comes from, is that I'll never get closure out of that disconnect. So screw you for not giving me that closure. But for those two cases that I mentioned, I've moved on. You know, the heartbreak is still there, but I've moved on. And as for the most recent case, like I kind of addressed it already, sort of. But I just, if you do see this, because I know you've seen posts of mine today, so if you do see this by chance, just know that I may have not fully understood at the time, and what you've chosen to do was also during a time when I was in the most pain, right? I was in the most pain, I was the most vulnerable, and it was just kind of like an absolute blow to the chest doing it. But after a good day or two after it happened, I just want to address you directly if you do see this. I'm sorry that, things haven't really been going too well for either one of us. I'm sorry that for what I have addressed was so abrupt and oddly timed. And I'm sorry at the time I couldn't get the full picture from your end. But in hindsight, I fully understand. I understand your decision. And like I said, I'll be honored if we do reconnect. But I think if we do reconnect, let's take it day by day, you know? Because I think both you and I understand that once that disconnect happened, it happened at such a time where it was painful for me. I'm sure it was painful for you as well, but it was for sure painful for me because of how I felt about you. So, and for some of the things that I've said prior to you making the decision to cut me off. You know, if we reconnect, I mean, I'll always be here for you. I'll be here to support you and I can readjust. As a matter of fact, I'm sure if we reconnected sooner, I'm already fully acquainted with the new ish dynamic. So, but, you know, if we don't and you somehow see this, like I said, I'm sorry that I didn't fully understand at the time. And, you know, I understand now. I understand that you're in a tough place and, your decision just so happened to make me the victim of it. You know, I just so happen to be one of the closer people, and your decision affected me. So, and that's just more of a case of what I like to call victim of circumstance. You know, you didn't necessarily intend for me to feel hurt by it. You just wanted to have your space, and the way you went about it was a very abrupt way. And it's like, looking at it on the other end of everything that's occurred, of everything that we've spoken of, I get it. I may not have wanted it to happen, but I get it. You know, do what you got to do in order to help yourself, you know. But it's like, I don't know. After it had all happened, I went from, breaking down and, I guess in a sense, like, just absolute, like, mental breakdown. After going through all of that and, feeling like I'm at the lowest of lows, I had a shift within myself, you know. The way I'd like to compare how I am right now is more like surgery, you know. There's something that's aching within you, got to get it out of you, or something's causing that pain and you got to get the procedure done to get that pain out, or I guess relieved in a sense. And for most people that have gone through procedures or surgeries, you know that after you get what's causing you pain taken care of, you deal with the after effects of a different kind of pain, but you're also kind of going through a recovery process. And I think right now I'm going through that recovery process. So even though, yes, there's going to be pains and aches from everything that's happened from months ago up till now, I know that I'm recovering, and now I'm seeking to do anything and everything that is in benefit of me, for me, by me, you know. For the past few months, I've been doing things for people, or towards people, in hopes that it would eventually benefit me, you know. And it's like, no matter what, it was always like an indirect benefit. But now I'm doing things that are going to benefit me directly. My focus has shifted immensely, and a lot of the stuff that I've already had in focus is now more gratified. So, in a case like this, I've spoken to some of my close friends, and now my focuses are now set towards things that pertain to my hobbies, things that pertain to my interests, and one of the bigger things is working towards getting my own place, you know, which, I mean, that's another thing too that drew back towards past thing that I've mentioned. I think that was a part of the whole other aspect as to why things wouldn't work out. But like I said, I'm not going to go into heavy detail, but if the person watches, you know that that was an aspect of things. But because I really do wish that we could have made things work, but I'm at a point where it's just more of a it is what it is, and I wish you the best as much as you probably wish me the best. But yeah, it's like now I'm absolutely focused on my life. Last year, that was a good chunk of it, just focused on me healing from stuff, taking a break from, dating and everything, just focusing on me. And it was beneficial, but I think I like hit a spot where I eventually wanted to branch out again to other people. or to find someone new to add into my life that would have a bond further than others, you know? And now I'm kind of at that point again where I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of fine with remaining single for a little longer because I've also realized that maybe what has happened recently is just more of a sign from life stating how maybe, just maybe, I was in too deep, right? I was in too deep. I was trying too hard and too much. Maybe it's a sign, you know? Maybe the reason why things abruptly ended is because it's not supposed to continue. So, and I think recognizing that and understanding that that's a possibility has kind of only pushed me further into this direction now, where I'm just on this steady path to focus on me, focus on my hobbies, focus on my interests and passions, and focus on the next step of life. You know, like this year, I plan to go to more concerts, more conventions, more events, things of the like. I plan to, you know, go out and about more often, go do some sightseeing or whatever may have you. Just live life, you know. That's what I plan to do. And I think all it took was me seemingly falling down to like the lowest of lows for me to pick myself back up. Now, that's just me addressing that stuff. There's other stuff that I was tempted to address, but I feel like it was a little too personal. That stuff dives a little too personal. But, you know, I guess in a sense to gloss over it, and this is to kind of shift away from friends and, dating and such. There's another aspect of, people close to me where, someone real close, potentially blood related, um, where things go rough there is that I haven't spoken to this blood related individual in a while, and it's kind of rough because others related to said person haven't really heard from said person in a while either. So it's just been a waiting game to see and hope that things are still okay. And it's been one of the factors that has stressed me out and taken me away from doing the things I love. I think overall, for the past few months, the reason why I haven't really been doing so many things is just because I've had a lot on my plate. And in some cases, I've had stress and pain that I just never addressed to myself. Therefore, it's just been constant buildup, and all that buildup, instead of me letting it out, had more so just acted as a hindrance, right? So whenever I wanted to record a new video, whether it be gaming or doing stuff like this, there was always just kind of certain thoughts in the back of my head that was like, can you even like maintain this? Can you even like do this with your full focus on it? You know, it was things that were bigger than my passions that have dragged me away from my passions. So now that I've had a chance to let out some of it and, address it to myself and still taking steps to fully go through all of it, it's allowed me to kind of slowly work my way back into this stuff, back into doing YouTube, back into doing music, back into doing more narrative related stuff. Because another thing too is that I've also like looked back at footage that I have recorded for this channel. As some of you guys may know, I have this, episodic, you know, narrative going that is called Alan. I have only done 2 episodes. I've wanted to do episode 3 for so long, and I have on and off done writing for it. I have recorded little bits and pieces for episode 3, but I've I haven't been able to necessarily get myself to push it even halfway through development. Like right now, I think all I have is just the first half, both written and filmed and recorded, or yet to be recorded. So I think as I slowly work my way back into my passions and back into YouTube and everything, I think I'm going to start putting myself back on that track of eventually finishing episode 3. Because for those of you that know, Alan is something that I've worked on for a while. You know, I've gone to the drawing board God knows how many times, you know. Hell, it wasn't even originally named Alan, it was named something else. Actually, it was named two other kinds of names, you know, two other names prior, you know, before I had settled on Alan. So, and it had gone through multiple different renditions and ideas and, you know, lengths. So, it kind of sucked that for a while I've been drawn away from something that I've been wanting to do for a good couple of years, you know. So, I think I want to slowly get back into working on that again. Now, it is going to be a little bit rough because another reason why I haven't touched Alan in a while, which that sounds weird, the series. The reason why I haven't touched on the series in a while is because at the same time, it's also kind of a one man show. So it's kind of difficult to navigate this whole one man show, you know, for however many episodes I plan on doing. Because realistically, I don't know how many episodes I want to do. I just know what I have ideally as a beginning, ideally as a middle, and ideally as an end. I don't know how long I'm willing to drag out this series though. And I think that's what also has kind of put me at a standstill is trying to figure out what I want to do for that. So I think now that I'm getting my, you know, my bearings back for content creation, I think I'm going to slowly start working on that again. I might start vlogging again. I'm not necessarily sure, but I know after this though, I'm going to stream on Twitch and I don't know if I'll announce it. I think I'll just kind of let it be as a like up in the air kind of stream just to kind of get my feeling back for it. But it's also going to be kind of a different video for my gaming channel. And it almost kind of reflects some of those videos where it's just kind of a, you know, no commentary, just a enjoy the moment kind of video. So it's gonna be interesting doing that, and it's gonna be interesting streaming that. I don't know how long I'll stream it for, but I think that one might also be unedited to some extent. And it's with reason. It's not just because of either laziness or because I don't feel like there needs to be editing. I think it's just better unedited, you know, and it makes more sense for this kind of video that I have in mind. So, yeah, this is just kind of another video where I've gotten personal with you guys and I guess addressing certain things that have kept me away from the hemisphere because realistically it wasn't planned for me to take a break or to do a hiatus. I've wanted to do oh so many things, but because I've just been in mental pain, I kind of had to learn how to navigate it as it was ongoing. So it's like life was just kind of calling me to tend to that. So it left me, you know, not making an announcement or not fully addressing it until I felt like I was closer to the tail end of it. And, you know, at the same time, in my mind, I felt like it wasn't even just a hiatus, it was a hiatus, and it was more of just me quitting. You know, some of my close friends, I've even outright said that I quit. I no longer feel motivations for any of my passions or any sort of endeavor. I quit. You know, clearly no one cares enough. So why should I keep going? Well, I think it's safe to say I've officially came back, I guess. I don't know, but we'll see. I'll take it little by little. I don't necessarily have a schedule. I've never had a schedule aside from the gaming channel where I've had some kind of schedule going. But for those of you that know me through this channel, I've never really had a schedule. I've had a rough schedule in mind, but I've never had like a firm schedule. And I don't think I ever will. Mostly because this channel consists of occasional vlogs, occasional sit downs, and just kind of me working towards pushing out each episode for the series, which for that it can vary because I also don't have a schedule or timeline as to, how long I shoot for per day or what scenes I shoot within, certain days or which ones I'll choose to retake. I don't necessarily have like an ideal timeline aside from film as much as you can or try to squeeze in as much as you can and then spend as much time as you're able to handle to try and get it all edited, you know. Because another thing too, each episode is going to be very, very time consuming. So I can't just film for hours, edit for hours, and then wait for hours for it to upload, you know. I think with this episode, it might process a little quicker because I am using a different setting for my camera. So for the first and second episode, I think I've filmed strictly in 4K and I've dialed it back to at least 50 frames per second to kind of keep it in a more cinematic feel. But I might experiment with 1080p, straight up HD 60 frames per second. I might even also dial that back to like 50 just to see if it still gives that same feel while also spending less time processing, you know, just kind of as like a comparison to see which one looks better. Because as much as it's cool filming in 4K, at the same time, it eats up at the SD cards. So it also eats away at all the time I could be spending getting it uploaded. So I don't know. Maybe I'll switch it back to 4K to give like the top of the line quality, or maybe I'll keep it to just HD quality. So, not to mention, I think some devices can't even go up to 4K. So, it wouldn't really make sense for some people anyway to try to see it in 4K if they can't even get to 4K. But at the same time, though, we're also in the day and age where everyone has like damn near the top of the line of tech. So almost every device current day can handle 4K. So maybe I'll bounce it back to 4K, but I'll take it as more of an experimentive, you know, moment or I guess episode. But yeah, it's just with this being my first series, this is me learning everything from acting to recording to filming. And I get it. Recording and filming goes hand in hand. But in this case, I'm more so talking about voiceover work, sound design. And then I'm also talking about filming in front of the camera. So live filming, live stuff, not post recording, trying to do voiceover work and, trying to add in extra sounds, this, that, and the third. This is just like more of a live on set type of deal that I'm referring to. But yeah, I think I've addressed everything. Like I said, for the most recent thing that has occurred, if you do see this, I'm sorry that I didn't understand. And, I do understand now. And I really do truly wish the best for you. And I hope everything works out as intended, you know, because knowing the stuff that you've gone through and have been going through, you deserve greatly to have great things occur for you. So I truly do wish you the best. there is a certain set of words that I wish I could say, but I can't because I'm not in the right position for it. But it's like the final act of it that I can provide to you. So if you do see this, I hope everything turns out okay. And if you do choose to eventually talk to me again, I'll be here and ready. So, yeah. But in the meantime, though, I'll probably, I might even just push this video out after recording, just so you guys have something. And you guys can feel free to kind of skim through. But yeah, this is Life Through a Lens signing off. Hopefully, I'll do more recordings. This is actually a lot more lengthy than I thought it was going to be, but I guess it's because I've had a lot on my mind to express to you guys. So, yeah, peace.